I never thought a single decision could change my life forever. My name is Jordan, and I was 30 when everything finally fell apart. It started with a simple text from my older sister, Emily. "You need to come home, now." Her words were sharp, urgent, impossible to ignore. I didn't know why, I barely knew what she meant. But I knew one thing, I couldn't refuse. The house felt different the moment I stepped inside. Cold, silent, like it was holding its breath. My parents were sitting at the dining table, faces pale and strained. They looked like strangers. Emily was pacing, restless, her eyes darting to me every few seconds. "Jordan. It's about the family business," she said finally, voice trembling. I froze. The family business had been our lifeline for decades. Now it was crumbling, and I was the last hope. "You're going to take over," my father said, trying to sound calm, but his voice cracked. I stared at him. Me, the youngest, the one who had barely cared about money, barely cared about anything but living my own life. "You don't understand," I whispered. But Emily shook her head. "You have to, they're trying to take it all, every last bit of it." The truth hit like a punch to the gut. Our rivals, people we trusted, had been plotting behind our backs. I felt anger boil up, bitter and hot. I swallowed it down. I couldn't show weakness, not now. Over the next few days, I buried myself in papers, ledgers, contracts. I learned things I never wanted to know. How deceitful some of our closest partners were. How easily trust could be shattered. At first, it was overwhelming. I wanted to give up, to run away and forget everything. But Emily kept me grounded. "You can do this," she said one night, sitting across from me, her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee. Her eyes were tired, but there was fire in them. "You're the only one who can save us." I looked at her and realized. She believed in me more than I believed in myself. That night, I barely slept. I drafted strategies, called allies, confronted enemies. Every move I made felt like walking a tightrope. One mistake could destroy everything. But slowly, the tide began to turn. We regained control of the business, piece by piece. It was exhausting. Some nights I cried alone in the office, letting the weight of responsibility crash over me. But I never gave up. Emily stayed by my side, quietly, always. She didn't need to say much, her presence was enough. One evening, after months of battles, I finally closed the biggest deal of my life. Our rivals were defeated, the family business secure. I leaned back in my chair, chest heaving, tears stinging my eyes. Emily walked in, a small smile playing on her lips. "You did it," she said softly. I nodded, words failing me. For the first time in years, I felt proud. Proud of myself, proud for us. Life outside the chaos started to call again. I remembered the dreams I had once buried, traveling, writing, even starting a small charity. I didn't have to choose between family and my own life anymore. One afternoon, I was walking through a park, thinking about everything that had happened. Emily called out from behind. "Hey, slow down." I turned to see her jogging toward me, laughing for the first time in months. I laughed too. It was the sound of freedom, of relief. We sat on a bench, sunlight filtering through the trees. "I'm glad we made it," she said quietly. "Me too," I replied, realizing how much I had missed just being with her. The bond we shared had survived betrayal, greed, and fear. It was stronger than ever. Weeks later, I took a flight to a small town I had always wanted to visit. I wrote in my journal, thinking about how fragile life could be. How quickly everything could crumble. And yet, here I was, stronger, wiser, ready for anything. Emily called every day, sharing her small victories, her new adventures. We laughed at our old arguments, reminisced about childhood pranks. The past was still there, but it no longer controlled us. I invested in the business differently now, making it a force for good. People trusted us again. I became known not just as the heir, but as someone who fought for justice, for fairness. And slowly, money, respect, and influence came. but it never felt empty like before. I realized happiness wasn't about wealth, it was about connection, trust, and perseverance. Years later, standing at the opening of a new branch of our business, I saw Emily in the crowd. She waved, pride shining in her eyes. I waved back, heart full. We had faced betrayal, failure, and fear. We had survived. And together, we had built something unbreakable. I smiled, knowing this was only the beginning. No matter what came next, I was ready. Because now, I understood my own strength. And I knew I would never be alone again.